Welcome, welcome. So I am Raquel Holmes. I'm the founder of the Freedom Festival. It is my joy to welcome you to Freedom Festival 2025. And for those who have been here before, welcome back. And for those who are joining us for the first time, again, welcome and a brief introduction. So the Freedom Festival started in 2023 as a response to wanting to create through conversation, through play and exploration, an experience of freedom and independence that brings us together, that brings people together. Opal Lee, who championed the Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday, a national holiday, said if we could be celebrating freedom from June 19th, Juneteenth, to the 4th of July, that would be a wonderful thing for bringing us together. So that was our inspiration to have an invitation for ordinary people, artists, enthusiasts, scientists, activists, beauticians, anyone who said, I'd like to share and invite people into a conversation of what freedom and independence means to me. I like this idea. They're creating the Freedom Festival together. So it takes place from, again, June 19th to July 4th. You'll see the array of sessions at freedomfestivalusa.org. So this is one of 22 events that have taken place during this time, and I'm so excited that you are here for this session on online embodiment, touching close-up love, a leaderless and leaderful embodied racial justice practice group, which is organized by our fabulous host, the Somatic Racial Justice Practice Group. I'm really glad that we're here to experience and be led by a leaderless group who's open to sharing their practice with us. I'm so excited. So thank you. I am turning it over to our Somatic Racial Justice Practice Group for this session of the Freedom Festival. Over to you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Miranda. I am a volunteer with the Freedom Festival. I was a staff member. And when I was thinking about, not alone, by the way, when I was talking with folks who are involved with the Freedom Festival, I was thinking about the different ways that I could also contribute in addition to talking about and creating the Freedom Festival through these one-on-one and group conversations. And I thought about this group of people who I love dearly and who I've been meeting with semi-regularly, let's say regularly, almost every other week, sometimes less, for 5 years almost. And part of why I was thinking about this group is because we have longevity and we're continuing on, and time for us is something that I think is an important marker. And I think about being in this group with this particular group of people, um, in a boundless way, in a way that can't be defined by a specific regiment. Like we're creating that together. Um, so welcome. I'm going to pass it on to another group member, but before I do, I just want to let you all know, I think the Zoom over voice let you know that it's being recorded, this conversation, and it will be posted on the Freedom Festival website. So the way to not be recorded if you would not like to be is to be off camera. And the other thing to know is that Stephen, who is the Freedom Festival's wonderful tech support, thank you, Stephen, will be removing names from the recording so that there's a level of privacy when it does go up. So that's just a logistics piece. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Beth.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. No, I have three names on here. My partner, Vinny, was here. He is putting our son, Ocean, to bed, who was Guys, was Ocean born when we started, or was I pregnant, or was it before? I actually can't remember because Ocean is 5. And you guys have been in his life for me all his life, but I don't actually remember. So if anybody does, so he's been a part of this journey. My name is Beth. My pronouns are she, they. And I want to welcome you all. And when I was thinking about welcome, I was like excited, like, I want to welcome all of who we are and just welcoming holistically, right, wholly into the space. And so just to speaking out that we're all in different places in different lands, and I welcome our minds, and you're welcome to touch your body if you want. Why I do this welcome, it helps me. I welcome your mind and all your intellect and your thoughts and imaginings into the space. And I welcome all of our hearts. Some people may call that the soul space of the emotions and the deep wells of feeling and compassion that can come up. And I'm going to place my hands on my lap and welcome the body and the nervous system and all that flows through the meat and potatoes of what keeps our lumpiness. And then whatever I'm going to do, kind of a floating hand here that touches me for spirit, but I welcome your spirit. Some people call that energy. Some people, for them, that's more the heart, but the energy and the spirit of you, that is the miraculous part of you that cannot be explained. And I welcome all of you here in the space and all of us and all of me. And we're so happy you're here. And I'm so happy you're here. So welcome to the space. And then I'm passing it on to why we're meeting. Now, actually, Jeffrey is going to give a little history on who we are and what we do. Let's take a breath together as he goes into that. If you would like to, I invite you to. So you can do an inhale and an exhale.
And welcome. My name is Jeffrey, and I am in Fort Worth, Texas, the home of Opal Lee, and was part of the Opal Lee's celebration leading up to Juneteenth last month. And I was pleased that we would have a part in this Freedom Festival. The history of our group goes back, I'm going to take it all the way back to before COVID, that I had the opportunity to participate in an intergenerational dance production with the Dance Exchange. I've got their T-shirt on, and in Tacoma Park, Maryland, and did that in the summer of 2019, and then in the fall, and then again in January of 2020. And shortly thereafter, COVID happened. And shortly thereafter, George Floyd was murdered. And I received an email along with lots of other people from Sam Horning, who was with the Dance Exchange, was one of the facilitators there, inviting us all to participate in a Zoom book club, which met for the first time, I believe, in like July 20th. I should have looked that up before we got here, 5 years ago. And the book to be discussed was Resmaa Menakem's book, My Grandmother's Hands. The group of people that gathered together struck me, what they mostly had in common is that they were all coming from an awareness of embodiment practices of different sorts. I had done dance, I had done studied somatic therapies for healing collective trauma. Some of the other people have did yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, shiatsu massage, different forms of dance. But we all came from an embodied place to discuss this book. And over time, the days that we met changed, things like that. Some of the people couldn't continue because of employment problems and getting in the way of when we met. But we continued to meet every 2 weeks for 5 years. And we will share a little bit about why each of us was able to do that and continues to do that. But before we do that, I want to pass it over to Jennifer to help us get a little bit grounded first. You're muted there.
I was trying to figure out how I would unmute myself. Yes, so I just wanted to say a few words about grounding. Through the years, through my practice of Qigong especially, what I found with grounding was really a way to check into my own embodiment and to really track my embodiment, to feel what was happening in my belly, in my nervous system, in my gut, to feel what was happening in my heart mind with my emotions and my thoughts, and then also to feel what was happening with my spirit or my Shen. So I come from, Qigong comes out of China, so I think of energetics and embodiment sort of through that model. Anyway, yeah, so let's get embodied. Let's do a little grounding. You can stand is best, but whatever is comfortable. The most important thing is that you do what's comfortable for you so that you don't hurt yourself, so you don't strain your body, any of your joints, your muscles, any of the workings in your body. So what I like to do first of all is just kind of jiggle and loosen everything up. And you might notice places that maybe they're chronically tight, maybe they're tight just today, and just give them a little bit more shake, a little bit more looseness. And then begin to breathe. Really let your breath kind of travel to those places, travel into the chest, into the belly. And then kind of just slow down a little bit. And let's just do some twisting also, so that the energy, the grounding energy, has some open space to flow up through the spine and the torso. And again, just taking your breath deeper into the body, feeling the breath. Good. So just in this moment, just pausing and breathing for a moment, just going to track and see how your body's feeling now. No judgment on the body and how it's feeling. Just being present to what is. You want to really place your feet into the ground. Vinny gave us a beautiful image a few years ago of when you're standing in the sand and sort of the sensuousness of that being ground, or how the ground is shifting, but always being there with that. Ankles relaxed, knees relaxed, hip joints relaxed. Then that helps to open the spine a little bit more. And then letting the breath just come into the body and dropping down into the belly. You're making more internal space for the breath. And then at the bottom of your feet, really feeling the ground, begin to send a taproot down into the earth, down through the crust of the earth and the mantle of the earth, in the outer core, and all the way deeply, deeply into the core of the earth. Now, earth is really the way we can test our embodiment. And then let that earth energy just come up from the core, the outer core, the mantle, the crust, maybe through some of those earth aspects like the floor, coming up through the feet. Just letting that energy cascade up through the belly, through the heart, through the Shan or spirit, and then all the way up to heaven. And just rest with that motion for a moment. And then let that energy, the earth energy that is now mixing with the heaven energy, let that just drop down through your core, around you, any places that you are feeling needs some attention. And just continue to let that energy drop back down into the earth. And I also have this understanding that heaven energy, earth energy meet in human energy. And then as you're going back down into the earth, into the core, and then shifting the energy to come back. And again, going back up to heaven. Staying with the breath. Staying with the enjoyment of being embodied. Or whatever it is that you're feeling in your embodiment. Always being accepting of what's happening in the moment. So just doing a few breaths and just letting that vertical core of energy traveling back and forth. And then we're just going to touch into some vertical energy here since we have a nice group of people. So just bringing a nice sort of wrist action here, and then just coming up. Opening the hands, sort of having the sense that we can be touching each other's hands, even through this virtual cyberspace, connecting. This is the vertical line is grounding. The horizontal line is communing, community, being together. And then just coming back down. And then we just want to seal the energy. So what we're going to do is just bring the hands up, bringing all of that energy up. And then just bringing it down through the body, through the head, the heart, mind, the belly, the dantian. And then come up on your toes, drop down. 2 more times. Inhale and drop down. And drop down. And then just be present to yourself for a moment. Be present to your space. Be present to the energies. Maybe notice that there's a difference. Great. Thank you, everybody. And I don't know if it was Barry that was going to go next or who was going to go next.
Not me.
I think it's sharing, right? The reasons why.
We also
Yeah.
we also wanted to invite our room to share how you all are arriving after that grounding practice and just welcoming all voices into our space. So whether using chat or coming off mute, love to invite a few words of how are you arriving this evening?
She told me to skip over it where we share about, or I know that maybe it got removed.
Well, I will. One of our members, Michael, is not able to be with us, and he did send an email, and I will. Said he wanted to focus on how he was able to hang with all of us for 5 years. He said, because ours are the only Zoom meetings I ever leave feeling like my body's been with me in the meeting and is returning home with me too. Since I already started, I might as well continue. We are living in an interesting time. And our group has focuses every 2 weeks. There's something that needs to be reflected upon, digested, and transformed somehow. And doing that through sharing with each other how current events are impacting us in the body, in the heart, as well as in our minds, and being present to each other, really being present while sharing the impact of, for example, the Senate passing a terrible bill today. Where do you feel that in your body? And in my grandmother's hands and in Resmaa Menakem's work, one of the phrases that we use a lot is pause. And that's a sign that you need to get in touch with where you are in your own body. And being able to share that with the group is very important. So another phrase we have is end thought.
And that means that Jeffrey has stopped speaking. And that there's room for other voices to share. So anyone in the room, we welcome you to share how you're arriving after this moment with Jennifer and from the beginning of our conversation to now.
I can share. I'm obsessed with the news, and I follow lots of it on social media. And I also was in a book club that read that book over a period of months, although we didn't stay together for 5 years. And I wish we could give a copy to all of the bounty hunters and ICE agents. But it was actually, I forgot what this was. I just had it on my calendar. And it was actually really good to kind of, it took me a few minutes to actually settle. I wasn't kind of ready to, stop and stand up and shake around, but I actually feel quite calmed down. So thank you. I much appreciate it.
Well, maybe I'll share. First, I would like to add that in addition to reading My Grandmother's Hands, we read another book by Resmaa, The Quaking of America. And we basically just finished that book. And being in this group has been very important to me as a complement and augmenter to my embodiment practice. And through it, a lot of important things happened in my life. Mentioned that Jeffrey and I together decided to take an embodied social justice course. That I guess maybe that was like the second year of COVID, must have been, and I was speaking more extracurricular stuff or something, but Jennifer has offered Qigong practice online, and a number of us did that with her at different times. I think some of us are still engaged in that. And Jennifer and I are based in Chicago, and Jeffrey came to visit us a few months ago. These are all just kind of little points. Of like this continuity of social practice, maybe you could say, and it's wandered in many different directions. Jeffrey and I are also doing some independent reading, that's parallel to this group, and other people are doing that as well. So, I really do think it's very remarkable that, coming together to read this book, a group of people are very engaged in embodiment practice, or to read My Grandmother's Hands, did read that book, and then continued to read Quaking of America. These are both two very difficult books, and particularly Quaking of America, I would really not been able to read on my own, I feel. Um, so there's all that we discussed. There's a lot that sort of went into, for me, is very helpful in peeling through some of the issues that came up for me in those books. But I just also say the major other thing, which is that as time went on, we spent less and less time really focusing on the books themselves and more time on what's going on in our lives in the way that has been described here, like helping each other deal with the various social traumas and individual traumas that were uh, crossing our lives. And that this group is really important to me because this became a group of people that I could really trust in a very fundamental way, that, that share something with them that could share with very few other people. So I'm complete.
I think we're transitioning into the part where we share our whys. So each of us has 2 minutes to just share why we're here and why we're still here, and to connect it to our bodies. And by each of us, I mean the members of our group. And just to give you a sense of where we're going, we're going to have that moment. We'll move into another reflection practice, and then we'll open it up for questions that you all might have for us. I think we might have a question for you too, audience folk. Yes, so that's the direction that we're moving to until 9:30 EST. End thought.
Well, I can go ahead and just talk a little bit, what brought me here. I had actually started reading my grandmother's hands before I be, was even invited into the group, although I knew Sam from an energetic anatomy group that Barry and I were both in, with uh, uh, Ayako, who was a choreographer and also very interested in energetic anatomies. So I think that when I saw um, the torture and murder of George Floyd while reading this book, I really did want to be with a group where we could have discussion and really go through these practices, particularly as white people, to really be able to just process what was going on and really understand what embodiment was in terms of how we meet in the world, how we are in the world. And yeah, so then I didn't want to stop because I just really enjoyed meeting these people. And I'm always awestruck by everybody else and what they do in their lives and their families, and just developing these online friendships that who would have ever thought that this could be such a thing. So I've just been very grateful to see sort of the depths of everybody, see the growth that happens, the shifting and the changes, and how that has actually impacted me also. And yeah, so now these are my friends that I love, and of course I'm going to see them as often as I can. So yeah, that's what I would say. End thought.
I can go because I had a noticing body reaction, and this is something we really would do in our group, not just for the benefit of being here at the Freedom Fest, but um, Jennifer, when I put my hands on my chest after you spoke, I felt like I felt my heartbeat, and I don't always feel it, and I was like, oh, it just felt so strong and warm, and that was just lovely. I wanted to share that. Feel my heartbeat. Um, I had shared with the group when we were kind of talking. Sorry, I'm gonna put it back so I can see you guys. Okay, Catherine. When we were talking about yeah, our whys, that curiosity keeps coming up for me, that I am personally very committed to curiosity in my life, and that train of thought and imagination has really helped me be less judgmental. And so when you're open to curiosity, right, you yeah, can just greet things with such an openness. And I was very pleasantly surprised that all the people in the group were also like that. And that felt really rich to me. And Jennifer, I can't remember what word you said, but yes, everyone is fascinating. That was the word. And I was telling them, I was like, you guys are all interesting. Which I don't know how to say that in a way, but I just I personally was growing a lot, and also I do like to be um I like my mind to like come into my heart and my heart to come into my mind. Like they need to meet, and that can be difficult for me. I live very much in my headspace. I'm very air. And like only since knowing these people in the last like 2 years have recognized that I'm autistic. And so really realizing how much thoughts go on, this group has really helped me descend, right? Like descend from my brain and be able to go, oh, like I need to be intellectually stimulated, but actually I need to be grounded. There needs to be a coming together of that. So that has been wonderful. And yeah, everybody is my friend. And it actually feels um, strange that I have only been in person. I actually was in person with Jeffrey before we were in this group, in that same dance group, but I didn't know him as friend in that way. So have seen C and have worked with C together. And when I first saw C in human flesh, not just on the screen, it was at a protest march, a People's March. And it was immediate when Vinny, my partner, and I saw them. It was like, this is my friend. Like I didn't know if it was going to transition differently being online. But it didn't. It felt just as rich. And I think I have two more thoughts. First one is I am very skeptical, or I have been over the years, and COVID was hard with online things. Online generally is kind of difficult for me in some ways. But as I shared with this group before we were talking, I found such beauty in being able to see in different people's lives and felt the safety of my own space to be grounded, doing body practices that are really deep and sometimes, very vulnerable and hard. And we're talking about tragic, awful things, and doing these body practices in a safe space that I've created, then, being able to have that mirrored and experience with others has been really helpful. And then the second thing I'll say, my partner is Black, and we laugh. It's so funny because he's like, yeah, it's just so funny. You're seeing this group, but um, and I have permission to share these things, but he's like, yeah, it's kind of funny because in this group, getting to a place for him as a Black man to not have to, oh, he's coming, this is perfect. Oh man, I was gonna share the things that you said, but he's walking up. He put our son to sleep. I don't even know if you remember the other things. I'm sorry to put you on the spot right now. Do you want me to end and then
Yeah,
have
you
somebody
can.
else go so you know what's happening, and then I come back to you? Okay.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, We'll say that we are a mixed couple, and being in this together, but also, you know, as individuals has been wonderful for us. We're the only ones that are in the group. Like other people have other relationships and things, but are in the group kind of as a unit, but also as separate. And I think that we both feel held together and we both feel held as individuals. And that's really important. And that's really special. And I feel like I'm respected for me and loved for me, but I'm also loved for this unit I've created and it's very healthy. And I don't always experience that in spaces where we are sometimes like tokenized as the like, I don't know, like mixed like couple, yay, and like Minnie's the token. So I don't never felt that in this group. And so it just feels really safe in that way. Um, so, in thought.
I love that Aristotle, the cat, has made an appearance because that's very typical for us. Jeffrey's cat, Aristotle, the feline wisdom. He's always just on time. And Beth, when you talk about transcendence and just transcending the energy, that really resonates for me too. And I think that that's something that I've really taken to literal heart, but into my work. When we first started meeting as a somatic book club, I was also completing my somatic experiencing training, Peter Levine's work, which is the origins of Resmaa's work, which is the origins of Indigenous wisdom. So it was interesting to me that completing the somatic experiencing training and experiencing COVID and the murder of George Floyd and the elections and just various political events and socioeconomic events, that it was actually in this group that I was able to process. It was in this group where we could be even more vulnerable and I could be vulnerable and really raw. And to not feel like I had to be perfect and really understand to bring forward half-baked thoughts, uncertainties that I don't know, conflicting energies that I just felt that I was ready to process. And this group has given and continues to give the space to work it through, to work these energies through in a really embodied and loving, creative way. I have hope in my DNA. That is something that is just always been a part of me. And regardless of what the current event is and how we're showing up, this space has been that place where I can stay connected to hope because I can be me. And that's different. I get to see this group more than I see my own family, apart from the threesome that live here under this roof. I see you all with one another more than my own family. And it's by choice that I committed to every other week to be in connection. And that's family. That's the circle is family. The circle is family because in my day-to-day life, it feels from a family context, it feels more surface. We can talk about gardening. We can talk about the things in the Venn diagram that we can talk about. Yeah, in this family, this virtual space, I can be just as I am and show up and speak with this heart, with this soul, with my mind that's still processing it all. And that has helped transcend my confidence in speaking as a somatic trauma therapist, working with state grants in mental health. I'm a holistic mental health specialist, a holistic mental health coach, a nervous system specialist, and I work in the justice system with youth. I work with veterans that are experiencing homelessness and addiction. I speak on my soapbox about how trauma and addiction and the nervous system are at this wide intersection, and how it's so easy to overthink. And when we're overthinking, we're underfeeling, but not in this group. In this group, we think a lot, but we think from our whole self, of letting the spirit be present, letting our feet be grounded, so that when we're circulating all these uncertainties, we're doing it from a place of wholeheartedness, with our feet supported by Mother Nature, by Gaia. And so I've used this experience over the last 5 years in confidence to go back out into the world. And when I type my emails, they have heart. And let me tell you, from 23 years ago, when I started in military science in the Defense Sciences Office at DARPA, my emails were very directive, were very declarative, very demanding. And it was kind of the opposite of nonviolent communication. The communication was pretty violent. I got it. And I've reflected on this. And now when I share, even with someone that I don't really quite know, I let them know the energy of how I'd like to come into the relationship. And it's through this group that I feel more trusting in myself and confident in just showing up as whole self, so it can continue to give permission to other people to show up and, hear from a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or neurologist from the UN talking about her plants in an email. Yes, let's be real together. Let's connect with one another. So I just want to say thank you, and I'm grateful.
I will just add, I already spoke, but I'll add one thing, that I also have a tendency to be in my head a lot. And practicing pausing and getting into my body is has been really important these last 5 years. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that one of the things that more and more we hold each other accountable for is our tendency, natural tendency to other the others that we're in opposition to, rather than seeing them as human beings that need to be included and belonging. So this whole dynamic of avoiding othering, having a belonging without an othering, is key, I think, to our approach and thought.
Hi, everyone. I just want to point out we have only another 30 minutes if I got the schedule right. So I don't know what, might want to do some dynamic reconfiguration of the agenda, or I don't know.
When your job, right? I know that Vinny and C haven't shared their why. Suggestion to have them, could they share if they want to, and then we could do the body practice.
Yeah, cool. Hi, I've Vinny Moano here, and it's been in such an amazing growth the last 5 years. So in my world, I'm a mover, I am a skateboarder, athlete, and I work for the government. And so majority of the time when I go to work, I'm passing by the Supreme Court building, the Capitol building, and all the federal buildings that it's always in the news, right? And so what I have learned is that this group has allowed me to remind myself that how I interpret and how I am able to embody the experiences that I'm going through in the world. And that grounding is such an amazing thing for my body. And there's like, if I go 2 to 3 days without having a grounding exercise, if that's even just like stretching, um, and reminding myself that I am not just a person that is up here in my head, that I feel more connected to just who I am, and I feel more connected to all the folks that are doing the work, the hard work of having hope and believing in a world that is focused on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so this group has reminded me every time that I attend the session that there are people outside of my circle, outside of where I live, that are doing the work, and hearing how they respond to the news of the world, and hearing how they interact with people from their communities that think differently from them is really encouraging. It's always been encouraging. And I know that as a Black man living in America, a Black man in this book club over the years, one thing that's been consistent is that I haven't felt like I had to speak for my race, and that's been really awesome. I've been really cool. It's been really nice to feel like I can just speak from my own experience as Vinny and not feeling like I have to um, give an example or explain. And so it's been amazing. It really has, just getting to know everyone and building this circle of relationship. And I definitely have to say that every time there's a session, I feel hope has been restored within me to continue doing the work. And and I know that there's been endless times when space has been held for me to just share things that I am struggling to grasp with, if that's political, if that is situation um, that I'm seeing around my neighborhood. And so having them hold space, it's been really awesome. And the last thing I would say is that a lot of what Rasma has been talking about, even from the books from Quaking, even my grandmother's hand, and Quaking of America, a lot of it has been a has been a mirror to what we're dealing with in our society. And my biggest question that I have had and helps me navigate everything I do, even when creating and also work, it is how do human beings find connection? And and I used to think they find connections through the arts and politics and religion, but I think through our book club, I've realized that the connection that humans are looking for and how we find connection is through hope and thought.
I think that this group for me helps me figure out how to create things. I'm gonna move to gallery view for myself. That we started with this invitation from this human that we're all connected with, and then that human left. And we all continued, and we have been moving for 5 years every 2 weeks in a closed circle where the point of our group is to grow, but not it's a group that exists for love and development in an analogous way, I think, to some of the practices that the Freedom Festival is born from, which is social therapy. That our group is growing together, but not towards like measurement or a certain aim, or to get a grade, or to develop something outside of us, although the work does transcend us. Like each of us have spoken to the ways that the work lives in the work of us. And now this other us, which is the Freedom Festival, is in my work with organizers as a facilitator. And so for me, this work is love. This work of our group is love. And I love that we're in this new moment together. I feel like every time we meet, we're in a new moment together, but it's really new to be doing anything with our group, with other people. And so Resmaa Menakem has this saying, which is this phrase, this incantation maybe, that the work we're doing is to create a living, embodied, anti-racist culture that does not exist yet. And so we're creating, and we don't exactly know what we're creating, but we're creating commitment. We're creating through our commitment to each other. And I think this work that we do is so wondrous. Yeah, it's otherworldly. End thought.
I could pause on that for a long time, but for the sake of time, Jen is going to help me with this. We had the lovely Michael who was going to read this a body practice that we wanted to offer to do together. So just sending out some love to him. And just quickly, Resmaa talks about Vimbasi. Some of you might be familiar with that, but everything that everyone's talking about, I'm like still digesting all of it. No, but and so I'm kind of like, I got to do the Vimbasi right now. So, and just hearing like what people spoke about, it's just this acronym that's basically a framework. You know, it's like a map of how to pay attention to your body and how it responds. Really, you could do it for anything. But you know, using it a lot for these kind of events and things that happen in our world, and after someone shares. And so V is vibrations. That's like, you know, physical sensations, energy shifts in the body. I is images. So it's what you think, like actual like pictures or visual impressions that come. M is for meanings, which is, you know, any interpretation that you bring to it, significance that you think of. B is for behaviors, which is, are you feeling an urge to do something, to take an action on something? It's a pattern. A is your affect more, which is like, you know, how is your mood feeling and that kind of thing. And your emotions, you know, the feeling place. And then S is sensations within the body. So felt sensations within the body, visceral. And then the I is more the place we were talking about this, that it's for imagination. And you can think of that as the place of, what did Jen say? Conceptual hope. So the drive to action and even like faith, maybe thinking of it as that way. So that Vimbasi, I know that's quick, but is something that we've been doing together, separate, and it's a great thing after the body practices to see what your response is to them. And that's what we've been doing with this book. Jen, did I miss anything, or does that feel like I gave a good synopsis? I'm giving thumbs up.
Wonderful. Miranda, if we orient to the chat as well, Miranda pasted the Bossy as well, just for
Oh, great.
reference.
Perfect.
I'll just add the energy wants to move. That's what it wants to do. It wants to move. And when we get stuck in between maybe just an image and then a behavior, just an image in our head, a flash, a memory, and then there's behavior that becomes, that energy gets stuck. And when we're able to connect it through an emotion or to a vibe, we can keep that energy moving. We can allow it to continue on to integrate and to find its way so it doesn't feel so fragmented. And that's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Jen, can I ask, since Michael was, you know, do you want to read the practice? Or does that not feel right for you?
I appreciate the invitation, and my reaction is that that you are meant for this, and so
Okay.
it feels right. Um,
Okay. I love you.
yeah, it does.
All right, thanks, babe. Okay, well then I am going to invite you to everyone to do a practice. This does involve a place to sit comfortably, and if you have a desk or something you can put your elbows on, you don't have to have that. You can still move your hands in this practice, but that is something that is offered as well. So yeah, just find a comfortable place to sit, and I'm going to read it this is from the Quaking of America, and it's a body practice, and its title is Inviting the Energies of Race. So let's take a breath. I invite you to breathe in through your nose and slowly out through your mouth. Nice. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably and alone at a desk, a table, or other flat surface if that's available to you. And if not, just adapt as needed. Rest your elbows on the desk or table so that each elbow is directly in front of a shoulder. Keeping your elbows on that flat surface, point both your forearms and hands straight up. You can also hold your arms in that position if you'd like. For a few breaths, notice the energy that's present in your hands. Pause. Take a few more breaths. Bring your attention to one of your hands. It doesn't matter which one. This hand holds the energies of white body supremacy, the energies of colonization, perpetration, and discrimination. Pause again and take several more breaths. Then move your attention to the other hand. This hand holds the energies of healing, growth, and the metabolization of trauma. Pause, and once more, take a few breaths. Now, slowly, bring your hands together. Lightly interlock your fingers. And pause once again. Focus your attention on your clasped hands. For 10 breaths, just stay with their energies. Don't try to visualize or imagine anything. Don't try to move anything or hold it still. Just pay attention. What moves? What emerges? What grows? What do your hands do or want to do? What does the rest of your body do or want to do? Know any vibrations as you're breathing? Images and thoughts? Meanings, judgments, stories, explanations? Any actions or impulses you might have? Emotions? Sensations? Any drive to action, imagination? For a few more breaths. Now, if you're comfortable, say it loud or in your head. I am healing from white body supremacy. I will continue to heal. I am healing from white body supremacy. I will continue to heal.
Continue to heal.
Slowly unclasp your hands. And this is a point where we could soul scribe if we were in that practice, but I just invite you to take a few breaths to come back into the group after that. Thank you, C. Soul scribe is journaling. um,
Thank you, Beth, for guiding us in that practice. And in our group, we believe that how we transition out of our practice is just important as how we enter the practice. So I invite you to just take this next moment to transition, whatever that feels like, to maybe move or sway or just bring in a natural movement or natural care. We'll transition to a bit of a group invitation to take a moment to reflect on any of those key energies from this practice that stood out to you. Any sensation, any energy, any vibe. What was present in one hand versus the other as you brought them together? What emerged? So you're welcome to come off mute or to use our chat function. And the first question is really related to what are some key energies that stood out to you from your practice today?
I think the slowing. And thought.
I had a great welling of emotion that was both grief and hope. And part of the hope was being with people like you and knowing that there are good people all over the world doing good things on the daily in small ways.
Any other energies present?
So, when I was doing this, w- um, my left hand was holding the white supremacy, left hand, the healing, or right hand, the healing. And what I noticed as soon as it for the left hand was named white body supremacy, I I could feel the chi in my hand just kind of like dissipate and get smaller. And with the healing, when it was named, it just felt fuller. My hand, the chi in my hand was fuller in all of the cells. Bringing it together, I brought it together. What was really interesting is that on the left side of my neck, I felt a real tightness and a sharpness. I'm going to have to sit with that to sort of really unpeel exactly what all that was, but I'm sure a lot of it is when is my voice heard, or when I repress my voice. And as we were there, I could just feel the energy of the healing just was balancing out the hands. It took a while, took some time, but then it just became more of a wholeness, with the healing, embracing the white supremacy and helping to integrate that in a sense, dissolve it and integrate the energy. So, yeah, I really like this exercise because the hands hold so much. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Jen, you're muted. Thank you, Miranda. The hands hold so much, including the option to unclick mute. Thank you. Holding two different energies. And I wonder if we could use our hand as an expression to share. Have you had that experience of different conflicting feelings, conflicting energies, holding different energies lately in your nervous system? Beth, I see your double thumbs up, and yeah, I see your head nod, Martha, yes. And yeah, this is a common experience for us in society, and to recognize, to hold different energies, to hold the two energies. And as we can make space to hold different energies, what does that do for us as an individual? What does it do for us to be able to hold two different energies?
One word, resilience in thought.
It's just that you consciously hold two different energies.
Conscious holding.
Just being able to acknowledge that there are multiple emotions, multiple truths that you're holding. I think that in my daily life, like I forget that the things that I choose to intentionally let go, I forget that I let go of it with my mind, but my body still holds on to it. And so being able to practice that, like I'm letting it go, it's reminding myself that it's not only up here that I'm letting go, but I'm also letting go whatever I'm holding on to that I might not even recognize. And that gives me power to show up in spaces like this.
Mm.
So this is Martha, and the word curiosity that C began, I think you did, or was it Benny or Beth? But I feel like that holding multiple or I feel like in many ways we're forced to decide which one is gonna be the one we're supposed to deal with or solve or tackle or and that permission to be in a space where you can be curious and discover what it is and what it brings into your body takes that to a whole different level. Again, thought.
Miranda adds, not one or the other, both, to be in what's possible in these multitudes.
I think what I would like to share that I'm grateful for in this gathering that you held is I noticed I felt slightly cranky at the slowness at the very beginning. And I'm so much more regulated right now. And also the healing aspect, the way that I want to be in the world is to lead with love. And I get really angry. I'm so angry at what's happening. And so to keep having reminders by showing up in spaces like this of the way that I want to be in the world and to get regulated so that I'm regulating others, so that I'm coming in with my self-regulation and not adding to the chaos. So I just want to thank you so much before you end for, I feel very much more regulated now and calm. And I've had like all these phone calls the whole time we've been here. And I'm just grateful. Thank you.
Mm. What a lovely, lovely close. It's so hard. It's actually hard to end. And I think the beautiful part is, see, you actually said it was boundless at the beginning. You said that the creation of the practice of the group has a boundlessness to it. And I experienced that both from just the introductions of who you are in the world, as well as coming together in relation to one another and how you ripple in the sense of who you're with and create within your lives outside the group and with the group. So I think, so I'm saying that as a way of holding that we're not ending. As my colleague Rochelle will say, it's a comma, not a period. And I think that I probably will take end thought with me as well. I'm sure there are other practices people will bring. I want to I want to move to doing the wrapping up of our session, and just to leave space for a moment if there's anything else that the practice group, the somatic racial justice practice group, would like to give in this moment, or maybe it's a breath together.
Yeah, hi again. So I would like to end with a hum. This is something that we started doing 4 years ago, and my son really appreciated it, and we did it for a long time. And then I thought that this would be a great time to just end with a big hum.
Awesome.
And 3, 2, 1.
Um,
Mhm. Mhm. Mm. Thank you. Thank you. Wasn't this a great session? It's a great session. Thank you. Thank you for organizing, for giving us you, and for inspiring us to continue to give ourselves to one another. The Freedom Festival is organized as a grassroots activity. Everything that we raise goes into building the festival to continue to give away free events that people can come together in ways of experiencing our connection in the world and creating more. So there are more sessions happening tomorrow. There is the philosophy of freedom, as well as a conversation with Hakeem Oluseyi, who's from rural Mississippi, and also is an astrophysicist who talks openly about his experience of coming as a Black man from poor rural communities up through Stanford. And it's going to be a conversation, so it's a beautiful opportunity. And of course, there's an open mic as a closing, which is going to be poetry. So I'd love for you to be there on July 4th. There's sessions on the 3rd, a conversation of Frederick Douglass, and the 4th of July, Rochelle is leading that along with Nick Gross. Of course, continue creating with one another. Thank you so much for building and giving.
You.
End thought. Be well.